I've started the recording. Welcome, everybody. This is our lecture for Design 320. It's week 10. Look at that. If I close that down, look at that. Week 10. And this week, you're going to get a chance to just review, reflect, and summarize what you've done so far. I think it's always just very worthwhile to just take a moment. And then you're going to have a whole week off. Remember, next week is spring break. There is no class next week and no meetings. Yay. And then we've got a few more weeks to go till the end of the semester. So review, reflect, summarize, prepare a draft of your final portfolio. So this is going to count for 4 points, just like your final portfolio, but it gives you a chance to be thinking about it now because you've made all these little cool weekly portfolio style submittals, but you're going to see that, and those are very worthwhile. You should keep all those and put them together into one document by the time you're done. But for an employer, they're going to want to see something that's just a little bit more organized and cut down than that. So that's what we're going to start doing here. So let's take a look and see what's due this week. Prepare your week 10 template. There it is. that's what's there. Review your prior work. So that means really go back and review. You should set aside at least 1 hour to really review. And when you do that review, you should go back to the what to do's to find out what was it all about? What were we working on? Oh, it's an individualized concept design. Okay, I get it. So you should take time. You've got 9 of those, really 8 of them, because week number 1 didn't really count for this stuff. So you've got 8 of them to go back and really review and reflect upon. So review and just make sure that any noted revisions that you understand them. Maybe you've made the changes, maybe you haven't. And then reflect on your achievements. So you've done some work, that's good. But to reflect means to look at them and see how that looks to the rest of the world or how the rest of the world might look at it. And consider, have you met the goals of each student learning outcome in the class? Now, we have not covered a couple student learning outcomes yet. Okay, there's just a few, but you can give it a try and look and see. So you'll review your work, and then you'll reflect on it and see if it meets into this, and then summarize and organize your work. And that's place appropriate examples in your template. Okay, so now you're going to have a template here, which you'll see right here. Here's a copy of the template. By Wednesday evening, whatever work you've got done in that template, even if it's 0, I'd like you to post it. Okay? Just post it in there. And then by Friday, look at somebody's and make a reply. And I've given you sort of like a template for making the reply too. Okay, so you're going to do a bunch of work, but it's actually sometimes harder to do this than it is to draw. But do your best with this. This is critical work. This is what an employer is going to look for. Can you organize and find the portions of your work that meet certain requirements? Do you really know what you've been doing? Can you think back and know? Or have you just been sort of like the rat on the treadmill, which most of us certainly feel like very often? But this is our chance to step off of that and do some high level reflection and introspection and review. Okay, so we'll go over these a little bit after I've shown you kind of how to do this a little bit. Okay, And so I'm gonna do this. So review, fix annotated items and things that you've just learned to do better. Maybe you're just dying to go back to the Arc de Triomphe and put an image on it. Or maybe your 2-point perspective, now that you've thought about it a little while, had a few things that you wanted to add on to it. So go back, look at every submittal. Does anybody need me to show how to look at what you submitted? Does anybody need me to show that and find the notes? Let me see if I can do that. I'll go into the student view, and I'm not sure that you can go to grades or you can go to modules. I think it's easiest to go to modules. Okay, so let me go. I don't think I've done anything as a student, so I can't see mine. I'll go into my week 1. So I like to do it from the modules because you'll see any comments that I've made and you'll be able to download a copy. Okay. Or you can just look at it over here and see. And if you go into this, you'll be able to see my markups. So that was what I submitted. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Another way is you can go into grades and you can look right along here and you'll see over, first of all, you can click on the number and it takes you back over to here to where you can get to it. And you can actually see comments that were made. Okay, I wrote sample note. Okay, so that's 2 ways to do it. And I usually do it through the modules because you'll see my markups if you put a PDF right into it. And I think it's just, personally, I find it easier. Go into here. First of all, you can see what the instructions were. Submit the entry text box. You can click on the submittal details. You can download it if you want to see it. And you get to see the comment. So when you review, step through all of these and just get that feel. And as you're doing it, if you can even write yourself some notes. Oh, I remember what this one was about. Week 1 was about. And I remember what week 2 was about. Week 2 was about ant, and I did ant. So that's how you do a review. And I need to leave the student view. Close that, and I'm going to make it bigger again. And you can fix any of my comments. All right. I suspect this should take you 1, maybe even 2 hours, depending on how closely you really look at it and really check it out and see if it's as much that we do. Do we add our notes to the slides? No, there is no reason. You do not need to do that. That was a good question. So the question was, as you're making those notes, do you need to add them onto, if I can get to it, my mouse is, there we go. Do you have to add it onto these slides? And the answer is no. Now you might want to, and I'll show you in a little bit how you can do some of this work, but work with these slides. But no, you do not need to. Now the next one is reflect. Read the SLOs, student learning outcomes. Does anybody have a clue where you will find the student learning outcomes for this course? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Where do you find the student learning outcomes for this course? Very first slide. Let's see. That's in a different class. I've been putting them. Oh well, yes. So actually, Natalia is right. In most of the slides, I've been writing specific ones on here. Okay, so yes, mostly they're on here. But Lily and Janice also add in the syllabus, and yes, they are in the syllabus too. And and I have just been so nice that in your portfolio template, I've listed them all. There's a slide for each one. Oh, you should just thank me for being the nicest teacher ever because I wrote them down for you one by one by one. So that's three places that you can go. You can go to slide number one. Starting, when did I start to do that? I started adding those in there around week 4, week 5. There might be a few missing. You can look in the syllabus, or you can look in this week's portfolio template. And each main slide has in bold one of the student learning outcomes. So that's kind of cool because you really should know what you're doing. You know, Musashi, great swordsman, rule number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, do nothing that is useless. And somebody asked a very good point. Goes, well, how do I know what's useless? The answer that he gave was everything that's not useful. And that means that you need to know what's useful first. And in this class, knowing these, that's what we're trying to get you to learn. Okay. And you may not know it, but all of your skills that we do line up with those. And we would like you to reflect and see if you can figure out what you've done that meets each of those. Now, sometimes you'll have practiced a skill or done an exercise, and it might meet 3 or 4 or 5 of those SLOs. And that's okay. That's good. Okay. And what we did was not always in the order of the SLOs as they're written. That's okay too. So this is why you need a little bit of time to reflect. So maybe an hour, hour and a half looking at your work and then reflect on these things and try to find corresponding ones. That's why you need to go back and really review. It needs to be fresh in your mind so that when you reflect on an SLO, you go, oh, I know I did something like that. And then when you go back through, it'll jump, I hope, into your brain. Okay. So they're not always in order. And sometimes they do more than one SLO. And then summarize is fill out your submittal template. Okay. Now, this is a different order and a different way than you're used to seeing it, but you've already done it in the order of project and skill. The weekly submittal templates that you've done are already very high quality portfolio level work for demonstrating a certain set of skills or a project. Now we're trying to tie it all up and say, I really understand why I was doing what I did. And that's something that employers really, really like. Okay, so I'm going to do a little demonstration here. I've gone through and taken snips of a whole bunch of cool stuff that I have found in people's portfolios. Look at all these cool things that I've found. And I don't know if I've got something from everybody, but I got a lot. you might recognize something that you've done in here. And I didn't go through everybody's and get everything, but this is sort of one way you can start organizing things. When you look at something, and I can't make this any bigger, but that says 3D model number 1, 3D model number 2, because I read all these SLOs and I saw stuff about 3D model. I saw a thing about research. I saw architectural engineering. So I started naming things by that. Here's a quick sketch. That's a quick sketch. Here's another quick sketch. Here's another quick sketch. So I've done that, and you can give the same thing more than one name or whatever you want to do, but it's kind of cool. Okay, so that's one technique that you can use, naming things by how they're going to organize in your submittal. Okay, how they, name them something that means something. So that's a cool thing. And I did these. I kind of looked at the first 4 or 5 of these. Mass model, architecture, engineering, design, research, 3D graphics, 2D technical docs, 3D quick sketch. So I started looking at keywords on these. And those of you who have taken the Reading Across Disciplines, the RAD class, this is part of what you do is you start looking for keywords and find ways to annotate these. So you would look on these, and you can even, if you feel like it for the time being, you can go quick sketch. No, bad color. I needed a better color than that. Make it red. I need to be able to quick sketch. Ooh, concept design. Concept design. Oh boy, I can tell what this one's going to be about. Sketch. And look, since this is 3 dimensions, okay, so I need 3-dimensional sketches, concept design. Okay, that's cool. I like that. So you can go ahead and do that. Now, if I need to, I can go to my images and try to find those ones. Concepts, 3D model, the quick sketch. There's one. I think I can only open them one at a time. So I'm just going to stick them out here for now. Well, these ones are supposed to be for a design solution. So maybe I'm not going to use those ones here. Maybe these ones go more on here. See how you have to kind of think things through a little bit? Sketch designs in 3D, 1 point, 2 point. So, 1 point and 2 point. Let me go find those. Insert image. There's a 1 point. Where did it go? 1 point. And I'm just going to stick them over here for now. And on the other side. But this is helping me figure it out even more. So I've done some work. 2-point. I think I really kind of nailed this one. So now I can start thinking about this one. Sketch ideas, designs. Okay. 1-point and 2-point perspectives. Well, these are definitely perspective views. Everything here is a perspective view. Here's a 1-point. I only have, oh, and here's a 1-point. So I might even put those together. And it's up to you to figure out there's 1-point. Here's 2-point. And here's 3-point. So now, okay, 2-point 3D. So now that I've got this, it's up to me to go ahead and try to arrange these in some fashion. So I see that this, how am I going to cut this up? I might even just, literally, I might just cut this into pieces a little bit. I might do 2/3, 1/3. Well, come on. I might just say, and I'm just doing this, these are going to go away. 2/3, 1/3, and then maybe this one's going to be 2/3, 1/3. And see how that works. So this might fill up this space nicely. My 1-point perspectives might fill up this space nicely. And my 2-points might fill up this space nicely, which again, I can do a 2/3, 1/3. So try to use some sort of a nice looking arrangement to be able to do that. And you could even, if you wanted to, you could box those in if you felt like it, but you want to be somewhat consistent. So that may not work out really well for you here. Maybe move that one over a little bit. Make that more of a 2/3, 1/3. Might even have to crop this one a little bit to get it to fit nicely. Because that's not really losing much of interest there. There we go. Those are fitting nice. Match those ends. Match these edges and ends a little bit. There we go. And still might even play with those a little bit. But there, I've got something now that matches up with everything that belongs on here. Does that sort of make some sense a little bit? Are you okay with that? As a demonstration of how you would go about making one of these. Okay, now, if you feel like it, you could do it slide by slide. Read these things and then go back through your submittals to find the things that really, really, truly belong with it. And I'm not grooving on this all the way. I'd like these to maybe match a little bit better. So I've got a little bit to change here. Meg, what can I do? You have a question?
Yes, yes, Professor. Can we put the video that we did it with them or no?
Can you do what?
The video that I did it about the from the sketch power.
Oh, so if you made a video, you
Yeah.
you can, but only if the thumbnail matches. Okay,
Oh,
because
okay.
this might be printed or it might not, and they might have access to video and they might not. So if you do insert a video, right, and you find your video, you can do that, but whatever I would see on here would need to match up.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, but that's a good.
Okay.
I've actually had people do that. Now, what you might do is there are some gift generators that some people really like to use those, and they can be done to good use. I'm gonna trim this one down just a little bit more and move it over. I'm gonna go even a little bit more. There, that's really lining up with these ones a little bit better. And now this one I'll probably want to just shrink maybe just a hair. I want these two to line up a little bit nicer. Like those edges to line out a little bit better. There we go. So I think I have to crop that. Well, I don't want to crop it or oh, I see what I want to do. Yeah, I want to crop the top of this one. So there's some time involved to really make this look really nice. Okay. And I think I want these two maybe to take up a little bit more. We'll see. Okay, but you can do some work here to make this look like a really nice set of images for you. Okay, up to you to do, but we're looking for a good presentation. So your presentation style. Now, some people make beautiful presentations in a collage mode. That's perfectly fine. If you want to go to a collage mode, that works out great. Often it works out really, really well. And you can set some different sizes on here to do some different stuff here. And maybe this one gets a little bit bigger, moves over a bit. This one comes to the front. This one comes to the front. So a collage mode also looks pretty nice. You can do a lot of good work with a collage so long as people understand what's going on. Another thing that I've seen people do to very nice effect. Going to get these all moved off again for a moment. And again, this is your portfolio, but I'm letting you know that I'm going to look for some systematic organization. So what some people like to do is set themselves up some areas and label them 3D sketch in perspective mode, something like that. And what would go in there? Definitely this. What else would go on there? Definitely this. Swap those two positions. Something like that you could do. And then this might be 1 point. And again, that would probably get centered and put to the top. And so where are my 1 point ones? I've got like that. And that, which you could work on to get those to hit a little bit better. And you could also, if you wanted to, put more of them on. And then you've got maybe, and maybe you just want one of these. Or maybe this one should be the small one. And this becomes your 2 point. Something like that. Okay. And you can play around with it. You can make it sort of how you want. So this is kind of nice because everything is kind of labeled and you can match them up and look at it. And somebody can see that you had an idea of what you were looking for. Okay. So that's the process that you would go through. And look, I just spent 20 minutes on this one page. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 pages. So 220 minutes, that's 3.5 hours. Well, that's sort of sitting in the range of what this class is supposed to be about. So I think this is very reasonable, and it's your first draft, and then I'll mark it up, and all my markups will, like right here, this isn't so cool looking, right? Because it's hanging over and it's not very well done. And these should probably swap places because this has a big open area here that this could sit on top of. This looks okay, but maybe it's a little too close to the edge here compared to here. Take your time and really try to present this very well graphically. So your graphics are a systematic placement, 2/3, 1/3, 5/8, 3/8. Those are both Fibonacci series numbers. 2/3, 1/3, 3/8, 5/8. Those are very common ways for us to organize a page. Often you go with your largest, biggest text or image in the upper right corner. And this is another way that some people do things. And then they put smaller ones around. That's another. So you can do combinations of these types of, of things. If you're in PowerPoint, of course, you get a little bit more options, but you could put some, say, you could put a drop shadow on there. Drop shadow on. See how it's got a little bit of a shadow? And you could either increase or decrease its transparency. You can make it go out farther or less. Now, this only makes the shadow in one direction unless you really open up the blur. I wouldn't do too much of this. It's not supposed to be the main item. It's supposed to just be able to make it so that you can easily identify the object. Okay, so don't go crazy with those. You want to do them a minor amount if you do, and then you can even give them more transparency. Okay, if you feel like you need to do some recolor, you can do some recoloring, or you can do some adjustments. Sometimes people also like to do some transparency on a large one and then put the other ones in on top of it. So I'm just giving you options of what you might like to do. See how that can create kind of an interesting can give you an interesting display. Okay, or maybe you want this one with these ones a little bit transparent. Either way. Okay, so you've got some options of what to do here. Your final portfolio, though, is more centered on technical correctness. And then the extra goodies count. So, like if you get everything technically correct and I can see that you did a 1 point and a 2 point perspective and a sketch idea in 3 dimensions, that that would be like for sure a 3.5, and then 3 to a 3.5 depending on how good these look, but everybody's work is looking very good, so I'm not too concerned with that. And then if you do a little bit of extra work on this, on how this page looks, you can do that. Now some of you actually, I can tell, have some really good graphics background, and you've been presenting to me some really nice graphic additions to what my basic template looks like, and you're still welcome to do that. But I need to see what I need to see immediately. Okay, so I need to see this, which is the requirement. I need to see the page number, and I need to see what it's about. And I need to see that this is green to guarantee that it's your own work, to certify to me. So that's what we would be looking for. Okay, so now I'm going to kind of do this, and I'll make down here a little bit, and I'll put a little bit of shadow on these two. I'm going to get rid of my scribbles. Oh, I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to send it backwards, not to the back. There we go. And I can put a little bit of shadow around these if that's what I'm going to do. Now I want to be sure that I'm consistent with how I do it. So I want to be sure that I'm kind of doing the same thing as I go all the way around. Okay, and then this one, I think that all looks okay. I don't think I need a transparency on any of these. Okay, this one maybe I want to recolor it and lighten it up a bit. And get a little more contrast. Just so I can see it a little bit better. There we go. That's kind of cool looking, isn't it? Okay, so there we go. Now, from each page, from at least 9 of them, you're going to take one of those images and put it on here. So I'm going to take one image from here. I think I'll take this one. Just looks cool. And I want to see if I can get these to size fairly well on here. And I'm going to crop it so that I have a matching shape. I think it just looks better. There we go. So I'm going to put 9 images on here. And in this case, I want them separate like this. This is where I, as the instructor and the person that grades it, I'm going to look to see specific things on here just to see if I can nail it really quickly from here. And then we'll go look into here. Okay. Again, this is 323, and I'm working on deliverable 10.2.1. And I'm going to schedule myself 2 hours today, and so far I've worked 0.5. And you're going to give me your Google Drive that's got, if it's in here, it belongs in that Google Drive folder. Your snips, your images, your SketchUp files, your Revit files, your AutoCAD files. If it shows up in this portfolio, everything to do with that image belongs in that source file, in that source folder. Okay? Any questions on that? This is my second favorite part of the semester. My favorite part is when you do your final draft. I absolutely love seeing these things, and I'm always so impressed. The level of skill that you all have compared to what I had when I came out of college is so high. Just amazing. Lily asks, where is it's in your Google Drive. Lily asks, where is the source folder? So you'll make a folder in your Google Drive and either make a copy of everything and put it in there, or just move them all into it. Did that answer that in a way that was understandable, Lily? Sometimes I'm not positive that okay, cool. And Lily, if you want to get on with a individual meet with me, throw everything in a folder on your Google Drive and let me look at it, I'd be glad to. I'll do that. And I'll go, yep, that's right. So for instance, if I had drawn this, okay, in a CAD file, which he didn't, but this one, this was done in an AutoCAD file, I think. And so I would want the AutoCAD file, the original image that it was taken from, okay, and this image file itself, if you've got it, unless it was just a snip. So this image would put 3 things into your source folder. It's a lot of work and a lot of organization, but believe me, when people find out you know how to do that, it's great. I even had a student once do it by page. So there was the folder, and each page had the stuff that went on it. Okay, so now I'm going to download as a PDF. There it is. And I'm going to do the next part of your assignment. And that's to go to the discussion board and post it. Portfolio, first draft. Ooh-wee. I better go to my student view so I can show. No, I don't have to be in student view to do this one. I can do it as me. So I'm going to see what I'm supposed to post, the most current version on Wednesday evening. I'll pretend it's Wednesday evening right now. And then after that's done, reply by Friday. So I'm going to post to mine and I'm going to reply to mine. Okay, so here's my posting. I'm going to upload a file. Here it is. Where do I upload? There it is. Attach. That's cool. Most current version of the week 10 portfolio first. So there it is. Now, when I reply, I'm going to look like this. Okay. Let me make a copy of that, and I'll make a reply to myself. Okay. One of the SLOs, number one. And then I don't need that there anymore, right? That was just there to prompt me. Let's see, which SLO did I do? Let's see. As I look at this, I think I did a pretty good job. I got that, I got that, I got that. I got three different things. So I got all the pieces parts. So I clearly demonstrated achievement of the SLO for number one. And how do I know? It says SLO number one right there. SLO number one. Got it. Okay. Which ones didn't work so well? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and I think there were 11. Yep. Let's see. So I think I followed it. Thank you for posting your work for review. I've reviewed your portfolio rough draft. It is a rough draft. And I see that you have made entries for one of the SLOs. Number one. Of those entries, I clearly demonstrated achievement for SLO for number one, but some that did not. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I'm doing really good with the one I put in there. I'm just maybe a little behind already. I don't know. No, I'm not behind already. I look forward to see. Okay, got it. So now I can finish that. So this first one, what you see right here, that's due Wednesday evening. Guess what class on Thursday is going to be all about? Looking these over, seeing cool stuff, making some comments. And here's this one. Here's how the reply should go. Notice this, I've left it in bullet point form. It's a little easier for the person to review that way. Not a letter to somebody. It really is a reply in a template format. But I have erased the stuff that doesn't really belong. You'll see that for those of you who learn about master format specs, you're going to, excuse me, you're going to find that. Okay, that's what I had hopefully to cover today. And I got it done. Wow, how cool. Does anybody have a question left or a question on a new thing for me to cover before I turn off the recording? Okay, so in the Google Drive, so let me just do it like this. I'll give you an example. So this is going to be, I'll make one for week 10 portfolio. What's going to go in there? Well, the first thing that will go in there were these snips that I made, that I used. And I think I used 1 and 2 point perspective. And so there's 2 point perspective. And then I think the other ones were called quick sketch. So those would definitely all go in there. Okay, so I've got the stuff that I used to put into the portfolio. Now I need to also go back and find out those came out of week 2. Yeah, I don't have my files all here because I don't save them as I'm working on them for you just to show you. Let's just see. But you might make a copy of these because I used them, and then I can move those copies to my week 10. So there's a bunch of really kind of like getting all that stuff put together. I moved one too many things. That's okay. And so I would just keep doing that. And by the time I get to having, yeah, see, I have all my stuff somewhere else. But that's what you would do. You would go put your actual files in there. Okay. Does that help out? Does that sort of give a better idea? So I would also want to put my SketchUp file in there, my AutoCAD file in there. This is going to get fairly full, but it's a way to really organize, to have the stuff that you really like and that you really used all in one place. Okay. You don't have to make links. You don't have to do all that. They should just all be in one place. Okay, and then the question, yes. So the second file is what you gave us to do. Yes. Yeah. So for instance, I gave you this, so you would want to have a copy of that in there. I gave you this, so you would want to have a copy of that. And then, I don't know, a copy of copy. I gave you this to work with. And then you've got your own that would come from it. So yes, there's the things I gave you and the things that you've actually drawn, and then your final of it. Okay. Sometimes, and it's just a mix and a match. Sometimes I gave you stuff, sometimes I didn't. Okay. Other good questions? Okay. I've got another meeting to go to, so I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.